All right. So before we go to what we'll be having now, I figured out I actually made a mistake when I wrote this data type for the const. Well, so that let me quickly show you that it actually doesn't work, right? So now I wrote data time, not so date time. Let me turn it to date time. You see that it will actually still bring out an error. You can see, because I figured out you guys might point out the errors we have here. You can see the constructor being called isn't a const constructor, meaning that try removing the const. You get what I'm saying now? So now when I remove this const and I make it, let's say final, you can see it becomes, can you see now? Or when I say var, it still works, because var works for anything. It works for all of them. I don't know if you understand me now. So that's for that case. So what we'll be talking about now is something we call nullable variables. Let me clear up this and let me remove all of this. I mean nullable, right? Variable, nullable variable. All right. So now, what's nullable variable? Let me just jump right into code, and so that I'll explain better. If I have int, which is a data type, and I have name as an example, of course int cannot be a name, so let me just call it int. Let me call it age, and then say equal to. Then I don't want to write any age. I just wrote let's say nothing. Right now, the truth is this is actually very wrong in code. Okay, let me have this. Let me just use string as an example. String my name, then I say equal to empty. Now what I have written here, this thing here, you might think it's an empty, so it is nothing, right? But the truth is, in the actual sense, that this is not nothing. It is a string, no matter whether I printed something or not, because when I print something and I print name, it might not really print out anything, but that doesn't mean that string doesn't have anything in it. I hope that's clear. So now whenever we decide that we don't want to have any value, do you get now? So there's a way we declare null value, which is what we call the nullable value. A nullable value means that when you set a data type and a value, a variable name, the value will be null. Null means that it is nothing. I don't know if you get. So when I run this code now, bam, okay, I got an error. Let's look at the error. The value null can be assigned to the variable string. Yes. Now I can't assign a value of null to a variable of string. Why? Value says nothing. Variable said I'm supposed to have a string. Now, so whenever we have something like this now, there's something we call null sound safety or null sound safety. What that means is that whenever you are passing a data type to a null value, you have to use this question mark here. Now what the question mark is doing there is that it's saying that fine, I've passed it null and I'm using the data type of string. What this thing is saying is that I'm very sure that it is null. Please pass it null. I don't know if you understand. So when I run this code now, it will really pass the null. Means that nothing, right? So null means nothing. Can you see now? Null. In programming, null means nothing, right? So when you pass a data type to a null value, it will prompt an error. Means that a data type of anything can be passed to a null value. So you have to nullify it by using the question mark, and that's exactly how you nullify something. I don't know if you understand. Okay, let's say we have int, let me call it some value, something like this. Then let me pass it into null again. As expected, I'll have an error, then I'll pass it this, right? Now let's say I want to print some value. So I want to print some value. Now when I run this code now, it goes. Okay, it doesn't go. Why? Because I have this. Okay, I don't have this semicolon. So now when I run this code now, it goes. Now what if this is an int? And remember that when we talked about data type, when I use the dot something, I get to access what I have in the int, right? So let's say I press dot, let's say since it is odd as an example. Now you can see I can't access all those. Okay, so so that you guys won't remember what I'm saying. Let's say I have an int, right? Then I call it age, right? Then I say equal to 45. Then I say print age, right? You know, this is my age now. When I run the code now, it works. Okay, let me comment out this one first so it doesn't stress us. Let me run this code now. You can see I will have 45, meaning that it works. Now if I want to access other things of this int, if you remember the last class, I will use the dot. When I use the dot, it brings out some things out, right? Then from this dot now I should be able to say, okay, these are some of the things that I can do here. For example, now I can say I want to check whether this thing is an even number or an odd number. When I say dot even and I run the code, you can see there's no error here. There's no error here. So now the reason why this one in this case now is giving me error here in this is odd is because this is a null value. So null value, you cannot access this thing here. So if you want to access this thing, because okay, what you are trying to say here is, let's understand this in the form of English. Let's check the time first. Let's understand this in the form of English. I have an integer which is the data type. Then I'm saying it is null, so it is nothing. Now I'm not saying that same integer that I said is nothing, I want to check whether it is odd number or even number. Something I already said is nothing, so it doesn't make sense, right? So now there's a way we can allow this thing to work, to execute, even after we've said it is nothing, and that's by coming after this some value, which is the variable name. Then you enforce that nullability on it. It's like, okay, fine, it's null, but I want it to execute. So either we use this exclamation mark. Exclamation mark means that I'm trying to force nullability on it. Fine, I told you that it's null. That doesn't mean you pump me error. Please, I'm forcing this on it. So yes, check whether it's odd number or an even number for me. I don't know if you understand now. So this exclamation mark you see here is used to force. Though we got error, but you have seen this force, right? Because it brought out our. No, this force is for this one. All these things you see here, it's a unexpected null value, meaning that this is actually not correct because you are not supposed to be looking for nullability. You're not supposed to be looking for that, whether it is an even number or odd number when it is null. That's why this error is here. But yes, it brought out an error after we have executed. It didn't do anything to the code. I hope you understand now. So yes, we can also do it in the sense that we can use a question mark. Now let me run this code and see if there's any difference. You can see the question mark means that the exclamation mark means that I'm trying to force it on it. I'm asking it is null, then I'm forcing you to take it as null. So since I'm taking it as null, then I'm not supposed to be looking for the is odd. That's why I later got error, right? But now I'm not using question mark. Question mark means that I'm also not sure whether it is null or not. I want the code to decide that for me. You get what I'm saying now? So that I'm using question mark. If it's null, this question mark means that if it is null, please bring that null. But if it is not null, give me the answer. Let me show you something. You can see int age equals to 45. I'm not saying print age equal to print age dot is even. If I use this thing here, check out something. It doesn't give me an error, even though this is not a null value. Can you see it now? Now when I run this code now, let's see something. You can see I still got the false. Let me now turn this thing to null. Then let me have this question mark you see here. Now when I run the code now, you can see this thing now perform the function of treating this thing as a null. I don't know if you understand now. So yes, this question mark is just to check that. It's just like we call it ternary operation. If it is null, do this. If it is null, please give me my value. I don't know if you understand. So if at any point in time you don't understand anything, please drop your answer, drop your question in the comment section. There's another thing we can also do. For example, now let me remove this one. Int some value equal to null. Print some value dot is odd. Now when I run this code now, it will definitely give me null. But then I can choose to say, okay, fine, I know it is null, but please don't give me null. Just give me 0, right? If I want you to give me a value instead of null, I'll use double question mark like this, then I'll tell you the value to give me. For example, double question mark and 0. So instead of this code now to give me null, it will give me what? 0. Can you see it now? Or I can see double question mark and a day, then I run it. So instead of to give me null, it will give me a day. I don't know if you guys understand now. So yeah, please, if at any point in time you don't understand what we are doing, drop your question in the comment section below. So the reason for null is just to pass an empty value to our code.